You're listening to Wholesaling Inc. episode number 207.
So my advice to anybody listening is obviously check with your attorney in your state, but it's 1,000% doable. You just got to have some grit and you just got to have some perseverance and you just got to do it. Don't think about it. Get out of your head. Just go. Just try it. If you fail, you fail. So what? Time's going to pass by anyway.
This is game-changing information guaranteed to raise your real estate wholesaling business with actionable steps you can take immediately to navigate the ins and outs of wholesaling and start making money today. Bam! Join us as we put our guests in the hot seat and dive deep to dissect their strategies for success to enable you to duplicate their results. Investor Grit presents Wholesaling Inc., the only show dedicated to making you a fortune in wholesaling with your hosts, Tom Kroll and Cody Hoffheim.
Woo! Welcome to another episode here on Wholesaling Inc. My name is Cody Hoffheim. I'll be hosting today's podcast. And today we have a rock star that's been wholesaling for just a little bit of time. And this story is going to absolutely inspire you and motivate you to let you know that each one of you that are in the beginning stages are thinking about getting wholesaling, that you can do this too. Like I said, it's just a short amount of time that he's done this. We're going to be getting to that here in a second. But for those that might be new listening to the podcast, what this podcast is really designed to do is teach about wholesaling real estate. So wholesaling, just to break it down very simple, is just the art of finding deeply discounted properties that you can then turn for huge profits. And we're going to talk about some of those strategies on how you actually make the profit when you find these deeply discounted properties. So stick with us, get a pen, get a piece of paper, and get ready because there's going to be a lot of value, a lot of free value, free gold nuggets, and we're ready to help each one of you get closer to your first deal as well. That's what this podcast is for. So today we have Jeremy Ruston. He's from Evansville, Indiana. He's married, has 2 beautiful kids, and he just joined the tribe just a little over 30 days. So it's just been a month, and he's already done his first deal, and it was a great deal. And I'm not going to share all what he made or anything that. He's going to share that story on what it's like and how he did it. But we're going to deep dive this deal right now for you guys. So get ready. So Jeremy, my man, how in the heck are you?
Hey, Cody, I am doing fantastic. I want to tell you, I am super excited about being on this podcast. I've listened to just about all of them, and I've been putting this on my goals to be on here. I'm so thankful and so honored. And I want to say thank you to all the rhinos that came before me on these podcasts because they've dropped a bunch of knowledge, and I'm super grateful.
Well, I love it, Jeremy. Let me tell you, I remember just a little over a month ago talking to you on the phone, and we talked a couple times. You were just getting into it. You didn't know if you wanted to move forward with the program. You didn't know any of those things, but you knew you wanted to get into wholesaling. You just didn't know what was going to be the route to go. And I am telling you, from that phone conversation to where you're at in this amount of time is mind-blowing. I can't wait for everyone listening to this podcast to really hear your story. And so maybe let's start there. Tell us a little bit about maybe your background, who you are, what you were doing, and what you're currently doing before you really got into wholesaling.
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from a quote unquote sales background. I started in the hospitality industry when I was in community college, bartending and serving and stuff like that. Then from there, I got into like the automotive sales industry, became like a director of F&I for the car lots. And then from there, I met my wife. We had our son. He was about 2 years old when my wife finally looked at me and said, "Hey, look, I feel like a single mom. You're working 78 hours a week, and I'm very grateful for that. But, I need some help. Let's figure something out." And then we found out we were having our daughter. So I really had that ball going. So, I went through the transition of trying to find a different career path. And then I fell into, ironically, insurance, which I know you had a little bit of background in that.
I did.
So I started doing home insurance, auto insurance, stuff like that. And then I quickly moved up in that field. And then I became a minority partner for a local insurance company here in Evansville. And then about 3-4 years later, I fell into wholesaling. So it's been quite a journey.
All right. So now that we have a little background about you, going through the insurance world, you've gone through all the sales, different industries, which is awesome. What really got you into wholesaling? What made you look into wholesaling like, hey, this is something I want to learn and something I really want to do? What really got you into it?
Yeah. So as I was doing insurance, our primary focus was homeowners insurance, and we would get local guys who were doing the fix and flip game and the buy and hold game. And they were just doing really well. And we were writing all these policies for them, but they were temporary policies. They would have 2-month, 3-month policies or whatever. Then one day a guy came in my office and we sat down and we were just kind of talking shop. And he's like, hey, Jeremy, this is kind of what I do. And I said, oh man, that must be a pretty good gig. And he's like, yeah, I just made $60,000. And I was like, what?
And he great gig.
Yeah. I was like, that's not bad at all. So that got me into what I call YouTube University, which could be a blessing or a curse, right?
Sure.
So I started listening and did about 3 or 4 months of just solid research and I fell into wholesaling, and I just really caught my attention, and I just became obsessed with it, and I just fell in love with the idea. And I was like, man, if this is possible, then this is for me. So that's what started my journey. And truthfully, Cody, I know we've had this conversation before. I actually was just about to pull the trigger on a different coaching and mentor program. And then we spoke. And then, I was like, man, this guy's really genuine. He just seems like a true go-giver. He just has a natural heart, a servant's heart. And it really resonated. And then you talked about your background in insurance. And I was like, man, that's just too coincidental for me not to pay attention. So I sat on it for a few more days. Another, being stubborn, being in my own way, as you pointed out. We talked one more time, and I was like, man, even though the other coaching program was twice as expensive, I was still ready to move forward with that. And then I was like, you know what, man, these guys are I'm already getting the support before I'm even a member that I wasn't getting at the other place. I was like, it just makes total sense to move forward. And I'm so glad I did.
Well, let's deep dive. Now they get to know a little bit about who Jeremy is and a little bit about your background. Let's go right to the meat and potatoes of what this podcast is about. I already can't wait for what is going to be shared, just because I love this story already. I love how quick it happened. It's been awesome to see this. I mean, it happened so quick that I'm almost like, man, I felt like it was yesterday. We barely met each other. And so here we are 30 days into this. Let's start going into this. What lead source or what was your marketing channel to ultimately have an individual, a motivated seller call you?
So because I'm so new in the course, I'm going through the program. I'm just now to date at the point to where I'm just learning about the mailers, right? So I'm so excited about that. I haven't even done my mailings yet, but I put a thing out there on Craigslist, and there was already about a dozen of them on there. But I went ahead and just did it anyway while I was in the background. I practice what's called aggressive patience, which is basically like, just what it sounds like, just doing what I can with what I have, with the time that I have, and still being patient for the long game, right? On all these other things. So basically, I just did that. It's like, if I get a call from it, great. If I don't, whatever, it's free. It's not costing me anything but a couple minutes. So about a day or two later, I can't remember, I get a phone call from some motivated sellers, and it was a super, super nice guy. He's like, hey, I see these cash, we buy houses cash kind of things all the time. I truthfully don't even know why I'm calling this one, but I am, because I said, okay. And he kind of just started going into a story, is this real? Like, what's the process? And keep in mind, this is my first time too. So I had no idea what I was doing, right? Nothing. I had no clue. So I was just kind of going with it. And my motto is just be honest, be myself and be honest, and nothing comes of it. And it just wasn't meant to be. So talking to the guy, I said, well, hey, I think I just started the seller script, right? So I just kind of did the seller script, and it wasn't candid or anything. I probably fluffed through it, buffled through it, just kind of fumbled through it.
Sounded like a robot.
Oh, it was, and I still do that. That's the crazy thing about it now is, it's progress, not perfection, right? I just do it. So
that's correct.
Just kind of get through it. And so I'm like, hey, look, I don't know what we're looking at. I don't really know. Let me just, can I come out to your guys' house and just kind of sit down and talk to you and walk the property and kind of see what we got? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So I scheduled an appointment for like the next day, went out to their house. Beautiful home. Like I was sitting there thinking, like, why in the world are these guys selling it? It's not like ran down. It's very livable, like what I would call, like I guess you would call rent ready if someone wanted to rent it out or whatever. It was a nice home. So I'm talking to them and they're like, well, look, it needs a new furnace. That's going to be $6,500. We had somebody come out. It needs this and needs that. And I was like, guys, I gave them every option they could to make the most money that they could. I said, listen, guys, you could put this on the market as is. I know some great realtor friends of mine from the insurance business. I can get you connected. Like, they're like, no, we need to sell and we need to sell now.
As you're telling this, Jeremy, did they ever tell you the reason why behind that? Like, we need to sell fast now, but did they tell you why they need to sell fast now? Were they that open about it?
They did not initially, but as we sat there and just, a lot of people like to build rapport, right? I like to build relationships. So, which is, in my opinion, is a little different. But so we're building a relationship and we're just getting to know each other. And she just opened up and she's like, look, my dad bought this house for me about 10 years ago. We paid cash. I've been living in it ever since. And then, I had some really bad medical bills that came up and had some, I'm not going to say the amount, but there was a very large judgments that she was getting ready to get hit with. And she goes, I've already talked to my attorney and basically I have to sell my house or I'm going to lose it, because they can take, in our state, they can take the, as part of it, because she owned it free and clear. So that's where exactly. So I said, okay. She goes, and she literally said, you just give me a number and we'll take it. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Well, yeah. I said, so if you want to talk about motivation, I was like, well, look, let me do some due diligence here because I don't want to throw a number out there and just feel like I'm, taking advantage of you, right? So I did a little, I called a family friend who's a cash buyer, if you will. He owns a lot of properties. I said, hey, here's the situation. What do you think? And so he came out the very next day and I met him out there and he looked at the property and he said, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I was like, she told me $5,000 I could have it. I told her I thought that was really low, but I didn't know any better. So I said, how about 9? So I offered her more than what she wanted because I thought $5,000 was just a steal. And yeah, I don't know if you want to get into the numbers just yet, but he offered to buy it.
Let's hold on. I'm going to even hold you there because here's something interesting. I want to really capitalize on some really good things that you're sharing right now to make sure that that the listeners are really listening to this. I love the fact that you started with a relationship, that you just went in there and you were a truth seeker and a truth teller. I want everyone listening to this podcast to really understand the value behind this. I think so many times there's this false thought of, how do you get a property that cheap? You must be lying. And I'm telling you right now, no, that is not the case. Now, there could be people out there that do it wrong and that are doing it for the wrong reasons, but that is not the way you ever do business. And Jeremy, I love the fact that you're bringing this all forward, that here I was just being a truth teller, a truth seeker. I'm walking through this process like a brand new process, just like it is for them, of selling it this way. And you're going to figure out a solution together, but they love working with you and continue talking with you because you're establishing that relationship of trust, not just rapport. And I agree with you, but establishing a relationship of trust. They want to do business with you. You bring in someone, but the big gold nugget here is they were willing to do a $5,000 and you were able to say, no, that just sounds too much of a deal. I want to help you out. You're truly out there with a servant's heart to watch out for them. Let them know that they can make their most money going through a real estate agent or doing whatever they do, but they want to work with you. You give them $4,000 more, but ultimately you said you have a cash buyer that wanted this. Let's now talk numbers. What does that look like? I guess, first of all, did you send it? Was it just this guy that you went out with, or was this a different buyer that ended up buying it?
Yeah, so it was just this one guy. Now, granted, I didn't know what a cash buyer was. I wasn't that far in the modules, or the training. I didn't know.
Baffling me.
Yeah, I didn't know.
You're just doing this all on the whim. That's why I don't even know if we can even get credit. The credit is 100% all you, brother. Like, you're just taking massive, imperfect action, and results follow this.
Well, I appreciate that. But you guys definitely played a huge factor in it so I called this guy. Who's a family friend of my wife's, actually. And I'm like, hey man, come out and check this property out because I don't know what I'm doing. And who, and I know he got a steal for it too, because after the closing and we talked about it, a little bit. I'll get into that in a second. But so he comes out, he looks at the property. He's like, man, look, what are you thinking? I'm like, man, I don't know what make me an offer because I really don't know. He's like, man, he goes, I'll give you $24,000 for it right now. And I was like, okay, okay, sure. I wasn't going to argue because I didn't know, right? So I'm like, yeah, man, that sounds great. Let's do it. So he's going to laugh, Cody. To be honest, I don't even remember where I got the contract from. It was like online or something. It was like, I found a contract online. I met with a real estate attorney that same day. It's actually the cash buyer's real estate attorney. Ironically, I didn't know that because I had some connections with the insurance world. I went out there, I showed him the contract. He read through it, scribbled a couple things, marked it up and said, here, this will work. I told him what I was going to do with it. And in my market, it is very, very, from what I'm learning quickly, it's very old fashioned. So I say, hey, I want to sign this contract. He's a real estate attorney. He's like, you want to do what?
Yeah.
So
you don't have a napkin you can write this on?
Yeah, exactly. So I explained to him the process. He's like, that's brilliant. He was like, it's legal and it's brilliant because, I showed him the contract. So my advice to anybody listening is obviously check with your attorney in your state, but it's 1,000% doable. You just got to have some grit and you just got to have some perseverance and you just got to do it. Don't think about it. Get out of your head. Just go. Just try it. If you fail, you fail. So what? Time's going to pass by anyway, whether you try it or not. So you might as well just give it a shot.
And here's the big shout out that it's already waited too long, but you made $15,000 on this deal, and I am still in a temporary office. But here, you ready for the manual bell for your victory? You ready for this?
I've been waiting, brother.
Ding, 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 ding. So here we have a $15,000 assignment. And Jeremy, if you could pinpoint this, because I want people to realize that yes, there is work involved. It's not easy. This is not a get rich quick. I would never want people to feel like, man, this is get rich quick. I got to do this. It's not. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to try you. It's going to test you. It's going to give you bumps and bruises. But ultimately, how many hours do you think you were involved in this deal that paid you $15,000?
So if we count drive time to and from the property and to and from the title company, I may have 4 hours, maybe 5. If I'm pushing it.
Man, divided by 5, we're at $3,000, $3,000 an hour. And this is where I look at it and I tell people, and this is living proof of it. Like, this is a perfect example. Wholesaling truly is the fastest way to make a fortune in the shortest amount of time. Now, that doesn't mean it's easy. I don't want that to come across. But it is simple if you follow the right instruction. And Jeremy is one of those guys that when he receives instruction, he just goes out and he does it. He doesn't get on YouTube and then Google and then listen to 50 other podcasts and then listen and ask Siri and see if Siri knows. Like, that's when you get into that analysis paralysis, that education overload. The key thing here is there's a place for those people. There's a place for analyzers and engineers that have to really think about a perfect plan right out of the gates. But in wholesaling, there's no such thing as a perfect plan. So don't prep for a perfect plan. This right here is a classic story of just going out there and taking massive imperfect action. Notice that he did not know what he was getting into. He did not know what was going to be the next step. What he did, though, is he just followed what he knew needed to be done right now. And then when the next thing happened, he figured out what he had to do at that moment. When the next thing happened, he figured out what had to be done at that moment. So notice that there was no perfect plan to this. And I want you to know, of all of the gold nuggets that have been shared in this episode, that is probably the most value that will make you so much money in this business, is just taking action imperfectly and just having enough knowledge of just doing what you need to do right now. And then when the next thing presents itself, figure out what needs to be done right then at that moment. Don't look at the end picture, because every story, by the way, Jeremy, and you're going to see this quick, is every story is a new story. And so this is one way of doing a deal. And then you're going to realize you're going to go on a deal that next time, and it's going to be so different from this one. It'll have the same concepts, but you're going to be like, crap, I don't know what that is. And you'll start to figure it out. It's that massive imperfect action.
Yeah, I got another deal I'm putting under contract today from a lady. I think she's 81 years old, another Craigslist deal. And she has a property that has stairs, and she has a car that sits low to the ground. And she told me she just wants the cash for this house so she can buy a truck because she has bad knees. So obviously with my connections in the car business, I'm like, listen, even if I don't buy this house and you sell it to someone else, let me know, because I have so many connections. I can get you a super awesome deal on whatever kind of truck you want. So it's just always that mindset of being a servant first, in my opinion. It's really what we're the ultra successful people. The differentiation, them between the somewhat successful people is just truly having that servant's attitude, that understanding heart of, regardless of the outcome, my goal is to help this human being. And that's really what it comes down to. As a matter of fact, when this deal closed, I don't know what you're going to ask me or not, what I'm going to do with the money, but I can tell you 10% of it I've already tied. It's gone, right? That's just a belief of mine. It's just gone. On gross. I tie, not that I'm, makes me better than the next guy, but I tied on gross. That's just my personal belief. Yeah. And then I actually went back to the seller because we made I made such a good, because they have 3 little dogs, right? And they were, they needed that. When they told me like what they were going to do. Oh, in the contract, I also put it where they got to stay in the home until the middle of the next month. So give them a time to, find another place. So I worked it out with the buyer and they were okay with that. But anyway, I went back and I gave them an extra $1,000 to help with the deposit and the electric and stuff for their dogs and their, turn on their electricity and stuff like that. So that was pretty
awesome. Well, that's why you're going to succeed in this business, is you're truly out there to help individuals. And this is right in line with why you are doing deals and why it's consistently going to come your way. I think so many times we think of it as luck, and I'm telling you, it's not luck. It's continually doing the right principles over and over again consistently. And we talk about books all the time on this podcast. The one that teaches you the best about staying consistent is Darren Hardy's The Compound Effect. Mm-hmm. And it's just those small and simple things that if you consistently live those principles and do those principles each and every day, the result of that is big. It's massive. It's miraculous, but it's not big things that you have to do to have these miraculous results. It's just the small and simple things. And so keep doing what you're doing and you're going to continue to succeed. You'll continue to see the fruits from your labors. It's just serving individuals, loving individuals, being kind to individuals. If your mom came to you on the phone and says, hey, son, I'm behind on my mortgage, I have a ton of medical bills, are you going to say, hey, okay, how many bedrooms and bathrooms is it, Mom? No, you're going to sit down and say, Mom, how do I help? What's the best way for me to help you right now? And so that's the same way. Always look at it with that perspective, and you'll be, for those listening, that's how you succeed in this business. So, Jeremy, this has been a perfect podcast to help those listening just really what this business is about. It's not about real estate. It's about solving people's problems. And the byproduct is you're able to put their home under contract.
Yeah, it's definitely been a blessing. I want to say real quick, I just want to thank everyone that has been on the podcast before me. I've listened to almost all of them, like I said, and it's just truly been inspiring. It's such a great group of individuals in this Wholesaling Inc program and the tribe. And there's some local guys. I'm not going to call them out by name, but I've reached out to them. They've been true go-givers when they didn't have to. So my goal is as I progress in this industry, and I want to be able to help people like that as well when I'm more established and I have some notches in my belt, some things that I can explain to people. I want people to reach out to me too, so I can truly give back like people have done for me.
I love it, brother. Well, you know how we end this podcast. We always ask, now hindsight, looking 2020, right? You look behind, you're like, man, I can see a clear vision. If you were to have to start over, which is only 30 days ago, which is just mind-boggling to me, but if you had to start over from ground zero, what is something that you would do differently, or what is something that you would make sure you have done the same so that would help people that are right there thinking about wholesaling?
So I thought about this, and I believe that the thing that I would have done the same is just like I said, just consistently and constantly taking action, imperfect action. Okay. And just go, right? Just, I don't want to say don't think about it, be careless, but just if you get scared, that means you're on the right track, right? If you come up to something that you're afraid of, you're in the right spot. And right over the other side of that is success. no matter what it is. So that's one thing that I'm thankful for that I've done. And then as far as if something I would have done differently is before I signed up for the tribe, you said it perfectly. You was like, man, just get out of your own head. Just get out of your own head about it. Just quit overanalyzing and overthinking. But once I hit that switch, I just went. Once I decided, everything happens in a decision. A decision's instant. So I basically said, you know what? I made the decision and I'm burning the boats, as they say, and not looking back. So to answer your question, I would probably just have got out of my own head about it. Because worst case, I look at it like this. I was telling my wife, a beautiful marriage, 2 very awesome, healthy kids. What's the worst thing that could really happen? So just go for it.
And here's the thing, Jeremy, there's a lot of people that are thinking there's multiple people I talked to on the phone that are talking like corporate America and how hard it is and they don't get time with their family. Or like your wife said, 70 hours a week, like this doesn't work. We have kids, like I need help. Yeah. And they're trying to find their way through this. Now, I'm not to say that wholesaling is the answer for everyone and that we're the fit for everyone. That's not my point here. But my point is take a chance on yourself. You'll realize that you can do things that you never thought you could do. Take a chance on yourself. If you're going to take a chance on corporate America or take a chance on education, why in the heck not take a chance on you? Because you are your best investment. If you'll invest in you, you'll realize you're capable of doing so much, and you'll realize you don't need corporate America. You'll realize for most people, you don't need education. And for wholesaling, you do not need to be expert in real estate. People come into this program all the time with no knowledge, zero zip, nada knowledge in real estate. But that's why they succeed, because they just take massive, imperfect action. Well, perfect. Let's see. What about a book, my friend? I know in the past you said reading is not my forte, but now it's like who I am. So if you could say a good book that you would recommend that would help individuals have a better mindset or help them in specific areas of their life, what has been a book that's been a game changer?
My favorite question of the podcast. So not only do I have a few books, I have a method real quick that I want to share that I use, but the books, obviously there's some core ones that I just think anybody should read for just life in general. But, The Goal Giver is a great one. The One Thing, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity is great. If you want to scale your business, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone, Traction by Gino Wickman, you said The Compound Effect. All those are fantastic books, and I love it. And I read them. Compound Effect, actually, I have the disc that you put in your car. I have the Audible version. I listen to it when I'm driving when I haven't been listening to the podcast. But as far as mindset, I would say the one that I haven't heard yet on the podcast is Brian Tracy, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. That is an excellent book for mindset. And then he also has another one called No Excuses. They're great. They're quick reads. But as far as the reading, because I did tell you I have not been an avid reader, but I learned a process. Basically, I'll make a morning routine. I just make myself do it. I get up early. I read 10 pages in the morning of whatever book I'm reading. And then when I go to bed at night, I put my cell phone away and I stay away from that. And I read 10 pages at night. So I read about 20 pages a day. But, if you have a 200-page book, you can read a book in 10 days. You can read 2 or 3 books a month.
That's right.
It's very doable.
Those are some of my favorites. Brian Tracy's one of my favorite authors. In fact, all of his books are just great, great, great books. So thank you for that. And Jeremy, thank you for your time. I know this is now time for you to go out and take action, but to take time to inspire other individuals and to connect with them at this level on this podcast, I want to thank you. And there's many people that are listening to this that are actually saying this, that they wish they could say it probably in person. It's a big thank you for taking your time out to do this, because this will help inspire people to let them know they can do this. Yes, it's going to be tough, but everything in life that's worth it, that brings your joys, your successes, your happinesses, is the tough road. It's not the easy road. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So again, thank you again for joining us today.
Hey, you're very, very welcome, Cody. I appreciate it. It's been an honor. And to anybody listening, just get out of your own way and just go do it. I got faith. I believe in you. You can do it.
I love it. Well, podcast listeners, Rhino Nation, this has been another amazing episode right here on Wholesaling Inc., where we've interviewed yet another individual that is just crushing it in their market, and they're just at the beginning stages, and you can do this. And if you're looking for help to build your wholesaling business, go over to Wholesaling Inc. and listen to the countless other stories of people that are doing this nationwide. And the Wholesaling Inc. website is Wholesaling Inc., wholesalinginc.com. Click on the reviews, listen to the stories, let that inspire you and move you to let you know that you can do this. Until next time, guys, we will see you. God bless and have a fun time wholesaling. Take care.
That's all for this episode. Your next step to success is to continue the conversation over at investorgrit.com by joining the mailing list, as well as get your chance to book a strategy session to learn the systems and become part of the tribe with your hosts, Tom Kroll and Cody Hoffheim. We'll see you next episode with more ways to make you a fortune in wholesaling.